And welcome back to the Leon County Civic Center, Tallahassee, Florida, home of the Florida State basketball Seminoles and also home tonight for the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. As we're going to get ready to get this competition underway, Army, we have got some of the finest in the world here.
Well, definitely chasing these Renegade points. You know, normally, hey, look at this. You talk about pumped up. Who comes in the door first for a bye run? Awesome call.
He was our top qualifier, so he runs against himself. Then it's going to be David Morris, the equalizer, taking on Chandler Lloyd in overtime. Following that, Dave Wysoric with Nightlife against Bob Breen and Wild Hair. Then we'll see the Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson, going up against Jim Miller and the Barbarian. Follow that with Gary Wiggins, Mopar Magic against Bennett Clark and the new Clydesdale machine. And we're going to wrap up the day with John Breen and Mad Dog taking on the defending Renegades TNT National Champion, Rod Litzow and USA 1. But it all starts here, Army, with the kid we have dubbed the Flying Texan, Steve Dane, out of Killeen, Texas. Awesome Kong. It's a Chevrolet.
Well, he gets a bye run, like you said, due to the fact he had quick qualifying time in the evening. Look at easy going. He's not going to break anything. He wants to be around for that second round. You know, this kid, he's kind of like a fox. You've related a couple of times this year that that's the way he drives. Watch him.
He's like a fox in a hen house. He sure is, because he uses something that a lot of guys don't use in this sport, and that is psychology with other drivers. He tries to psych the guys out early in the competition. Normally it works. Let's get ready to go side-by-side racing, though. Chandler Lloyd, he is out of Bluffton, South Carolina. It's a 1989 GMC called Overtime. He's going to be facing David Morris out of Springfield, Tennessee, just a hop, skip, and a jump outside Nashville. It's called the Equalizer. It's a Chevrolet.
Well, Morris has a very unique vehicle. He's new. That's unique in itself. He's teamed up with Gary Cook, a longtime truck and tractor puller. They've bounced over into the monster truck division and bounced in a big way. The red truck, the Equalizer, has a unique chassis. It also has a unique engine location, engine behind the driver and low. And look at this. The new driver comes right out looking super, super strong. Chandler Lloyd not getting the run he wants with that GMC.
So David Morris, his first year on the Renegades TNT circuit, gets a win in Tallahassee. Meanwhile, Chandler Lloyd's going to head back to the pit area and get ready maybe to come back in later competition as a fast loser. Let's go trackside. Army's got the winner here.
Hey, Morris, out of Tennessee, you got to be tickled to death with that run, son.
Yes, sir, I am. I was proud of that run right there. It's just my second run with TNT, and I really did like that run.
I noticed there's a lot of water coming out of the truck. Do you have any idea what that is?
I think my pressure valve on my expansion tank, the cap on it is getting bad, and I'm going to have to replace my cap tomorrow if I can find one.
Now coming out next is a guy that is getting better and better and better and better with each and every race, Army. Dave Wysoric, real nice guy out of Grand Island, Nebraska. He is driving the Nightlife 2 Chevrolet, and he is going to be facing a real character in Bob Breen, Wild Hair from Jefferson City, Missouri.
Well, Bob Bream is the brother of John Bream, who runs the Mad Dog vehicle. However, Wysoric, watch him in the dark truck, comes out, has a unique driving style. He likes to stick his head out the window.
And he likes to get wins. He just got another one.
Whatever happens, it's working for this kid.
Dave Wysoric, Nightlife, gets the win over the Bob Breen Wild Hair machine. Dave is going to move on in the competition as we're going to move down. Army's got him now.
Looks like you kind of like this short track.
That's a pretty good track for me. I like the hill and the cars and the distance in between them, so I think I'll do pretty good out here.
Quite a few of the drivers were watching you qualify, and they said you were the smoothest on this track because you're going up and coming off that first hill just as smooth as can be and then nailing it wide open. It seems to be working.
We've run quite a few of those, so we got everything pretty much figured out, so we're just hoping to do the best.
Could this be the night for your first win on a Renegade Tour?
Could be. Let's hope.
Let's hope. Well, we're going back to you, Richard, and see what happens.
I like the way Dave said, let's hope. He had to smile about it as if to say, yeah, I think so. There's a fan of Gravedigger right there. And speaking of Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson is going to try to get it all together in Tallahassee, Army. We've talked about it over and over again. That powerful motor of Dennis's has caused more problems than it's been worth so far.
Well, he not only runs the most powerful motor, look at the location of it. It is all the way to the rear of the vehicle. He has to drive this truck 180, completely different than anybody else in the sport. All his weight is to the back, not to the front.
And he is going to be facing a driver out of Nokomis, Illinois. It's called the Barbarian, Jim Miller, and Jim is learning with each and every race he's in.
Well, Jim's been around the sport for a while. He knows he has a tough one to go against. Same problem. You notice Gravedigger comes out making horsepower, and then something went away on it.
Gravedigger gets the win, but he also has problems right there, Army.
Boy, that is a tough break. All year long, everybody's been watching him. Not to be the case tonight.
So once again, Dennis Anderson with disappointment. This time in Tallahassee, Army is working his way over to him right now. Dennis isn't happy.
Well, Dennis, it's been a long time coming. Your first win of '89, but we noticed something violently went wrong with the run.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I know I've got a powerful motor in it, and it's a short, choppy course. But I've just got to keep underneath and see what the problem is. I think it might be in a transmission or transfer case.
The big engine. You still glad you went that way?
Not really. I wish I would have started with my small motor now.
We'll let you get back with the crew. We'll see you later on the tour.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's a dejected Dennis Anderson with problems on Gravedigger. When we come back, we're going to introduce you, though, to a new truck on the circuit. More with Powertrax in a moment. Well, the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge continues from the Leon County Civic Center in Tallahassee, Florida, where once again, Army, not only Dennis Anderson, but a lot of fans disappointed for that reason. Gravedigger has broken down again.
Well, Richard is trying so many new things with the truck. You know, he's going to get them ironed out. It's early in the season. Believe me, everybody that he goes against is kind of breathing a sigh of relief when he has problems now. They know he's going to come after them before the 1889's over.
Well, our next competitor coming out is Gary Wiggins, and he is going to be taking on Bennett Clark, the new driver, well, not the new driver, but the driver of a new truck called the Clydesdale machine. They were out of Powder Springs, Georgia, and earlier today, Army spent time with Bennett Clark, the driver, and Denise Robinson, the owner of Clydesdale.
Well, Richard, we have a brand new Clydesdale on tour with us this year, 1989 new truck, but everybody wants to know, Bennett, what happened to the old truck?
Well, we was racing up in Maryland and come to the last set of cars. I got a little crazy. We went off to the left side of them, hit the wall. It just totally annihilated the frame.
Can you give us a little information on the new truck we have behind us?
Well, the new truck, it's a 140.5-inch wheelbase. It's got a narrow rear end. We stiffened up the springs a little bit, beefed up parts here and there. We've took parts off. We've changed to electric steering. Whole truck seems a lot stabler now.
Well, Denise, a lot of people really are excited about the truck. It comes out. It's a new truck. The name Clydesdale's been around for a while. You can tell the ladies involved here just by the colors of the truck being hot pink and white. Why that color combination?
Well, actually, the colors were Bennett's idea, and but I love it. The hotter, the better. It gets everybody's attention. We come in. Last year, our colors were blue and silver, which we loved, but when the '89 Clydesdale comes in, it's very hard to get your eyes off of.
Army, I never thought I'd say this, but that is a good-looking monster truck owner.
Yeah, believe me, she's involved in this thing. She sits at the end of the track, Watson Bennett on the far end. Now, he mentioned 140.5-inch wheelbase. What that tells us, that's one of the longest monster trucks on the tour, and I think that helps to make it a little bit more stable. Meanwhile, right off to his left will be a Dodge for all the Dodge people to get involved with. Look, whole shot goes to the Dodge. Clydesdale trying to come from behind Richard. Not gonna do it.
Gary Wiggins, Mopar magic. Maybe he had David Copperfield under the hood working with him, but right now he's got a little smoke under the hood. Out of Williamston, North Carolina, gets the win. Gary is going to move on in the competition. Take it back to the pit area now. Any idea what the smoke may be as he gets the win over Bennett Clark and Clydesdale?
He might be having some problem with the steering on it. The steering's very touchy on these vehicles. A lot of times they'll overflow. We'll check later on and find out, Richard.
All right, that is going to bring out the defending Renegades TNT Monster Truck National Champion, Rod Litzow. We have nicknamed him Rowdy Rod Litzow out of Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, USA 1. Now, Army, he was scheduled to face Mad Dog. That, of course, is John Breen, but we just got word that Mad Dog broke a timing chain in qualifying, and he's not going to be able to race, so USA 1 is going to have a nice, easy bye run here.
Keep an eye on this run. I'll tell you why. Remember, we had one bye run earlier. It was your quick qualifier, Awesome Kong. It was an easy run, your bye run. USA 1, he doesn't have to really lean on the equipment either. He's not. He's getting after it a little bit, but not a tough run. He did not hurt any equipment. That will help him when he goes to the next round of elimination.
You ought to know Rod Litzow by now. Even a bye run for him. He tries to go full force if he can.
Well, the Chevrolet people love him. He's your national champion. He's the one everybody's shooting for.
And, of course, he's sponsored by True Value Hardware that is owned by Everett Jasmer. We're going to be back to see Rod in later competition. Right now, though, it is time to answer another Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge question of the week. And our question of the week about the Renegade's TNT Monster Truck Challenge comes to us from Mr. and Mrs. Fred Manley Jr. of Downey, California. And they want to know how monster truck crews go about changing the tires on these big rigs. Well, first, none of the trucks can be hauled up and down the interstate system with the big tires on them. It makes the trucks both too high and too wide. So there's obviously a lot of tire changing going on. While the trucks are hauled, they're on pickup truck tires. To put the big tires on, most crews put the truck on jacks or jack stands. Then the crew literally needs to wrestle the tires onto the wheels. Now, this isn't easy because monster truck tires weigh in the neighborhood of 1,000 pounds apiece. Now, a few crews make use of forklifts to hoist the tires onto the wheels, but for the most part, it's just back-breaking labor that isn't part to the glamour of monster truck racing. And if you have a question of the week about the Renegade's TNT Monster Truck Challenge, send it to TNT Motorsports, 5515 Poplar Park Boulevard, Louisville, Kentucky, 40228. And if we use your question on a future ESPN broadcast, we'll send you absolutely free a TNT Motorsports hat. Army, with that pink shirt I had on there, it seems like I should be a member of the Clydesdale team.
Yeah, definitely looks that way, Richard, but we're back to action. Looky who comes out now.
We are in quarterfinal action. This will be our first race. Steve, the Flying Texan Dane, and Awesome Kong, and he is going to face Chandler Lloyd overtime. We told you Chandler is coming back, second fastest loser in the first round, so he gets another shot here.
Lloyd with the GMC with love. Hey, looky here. Lloyd nails the
Maybe an upset.
Oh. Right,
he did it.
The Flying, that's the Kamikaze
again, yes.
Kid lands again in Tallahassee, Florida.
The
Look how close.
Texan.
We're right down here in the end, Richard. He's on top of us.
This might be an opportunity to talk about that kill switch. They may have used it as Steve is getting out of Awesome Kong. In each vehicle is a device called a kill switch. That is used by track officials to shut them down if they have to as we go to Army now.
Steve, it looks like you're picking up where you left off. The short track doesn't seem to bother you a bit tonight.
Well, that's not exactly right. We wrecked a transmission and a torque converter, all specially made stuff by us, and I got my torque converter that we're not too sure about. It's a 5,500 RPM, which means essentially I got to be turning that kind of RPM to get going. And what's it doing is it's cooking my transmission. It'll be nothing less than a miracle if I can make the rest of the passes and come home with a win tonight. It's so hot now I probably cook dinner and breakfast.
Okay, what you're saying is the problem is on the starting line. You get the RPMs of the engine up, you just cannot transfer that power to the wheels.
Yeah, what the problem is there's a hill right out the line. I got to climb that hill at a high RPM just to get over it, and then I'm getting in it. And by that time, my transmission getting so hot, she's slipping. So I'm gonna run it till she blows or something. I'm gonna here to win.
We'll let you get back to the pits to get it cooled off. Good luck.
Thank you.
Don't listen to him. I think the fox is on the loose in Tallahassee. Back with more Powertrax in a moment. Well, the Monster Madness continues in Tallahassee. We're in quarterfinal round competition. Next up, Dave Wysorick, the Nightlife Chevrolet from Grand Island, Nebraska, facing David Morris, the Equalizer Chevrolet. He's out of Springfield, Tennessee.
Both drivers set patiently on the line. Al Goss has lined them up. They're looking for the green light. Equalizer, new truck, mid-engine location. And look, Richard, look how good that chassis works. Definitely an upset. Whoa, we might have some problems.
Good driving there by Dave Wysorick as he came across. On the replay, you'll see how close. First of all, though, David Morris with a great shot to take the upset win. But now watch Dave Wysorick. He tries to stop it. He turns violently around to the right, and bam! He almost gets a piece of that equalizer.
Well, that was some heads-up driving, Richard.
Ooh, that was a dandy of a race, too, and we're moving on. It's going to be Gary Wiggins, Mopar Magic coming out, and he is going to be taking on the Barbarian, Jim Miller. Now, why is Jim coming back? Because the Gravedigger could not. Dennis Anderson has broken down, so the Barbarian moves on. And another good race it ought to be, Army.
Yeah, these trucks are very, very equal. Let's see who's going to advance. You're going to have a Chrysler product going against a Ford product. Both of them want to wind up in the finals. They sit patiently on the starting line. Again, they wait for the green light of the starter. They're off. Good race, Richard. I don't know who won it. I cannot tell. Okay, Gary Wiggins comes out the winner.
From your angle down there, I know it's tough to see, but up here topside, it was evident that Mopar Magic had the magical mystery tour solved here. As Gary Wiggins has taken the win, he will move to the semifinals. We're going to move trackside.
Looks like you're going to carry the Dodge colors to the semifinals, but every time you come across the finish line, there's a puff of white that comes out of the front of the truck. What is that?
We're having a problem with the power steering right now, and we're hoping we straighten it out, though.
Steering is important, but tonight on this straight course, more or less a short course. What do you think about the length of the track tonight?
It's working out right good for my truck. I just hope, it stays that way.
We are ready now for our last quarterfinal side-by-side race, and with smoke coming out, it is Bob Breen and Wildhair, the Chevrolet from Missouri, but looky here who he's taking on. Your defending Renegades TNT National Champion, Rowdy Rod Litzow in USA 1.
Richard, we look at that truck. That truck looks like a national champion. The beautiful glass with paint job, the pearlescent look. It is one good-looking rascal. However, Breen will not be intimidated. He's going to make the USA 1 work for it. Nobody's going to give anybody anything at this point in time in a competition.
Well, Breen is back because he was the fastest loser in round number 1, but he's going to have to do some to take a win here against you, and he's not going to.
No, not going to do it. Litzow, motor's right on.
Rod Litzow with another win in the USA 1. Finally got that machine cooking up in his hometown of St. Paul, Minnesota. He gets another win here in Tallahassee, and we're going to find out if it was a good run for the USA 1 truck.
Rod Litzow with USA 1, you kind of, like we said earlier, you're picking up where you left off, but I got a question. A lot of people are wondering, this is a short track. I know winning's important, the start's important, but something nobody's covered tonight. What about stopping these vehicles on this short indoor course?
Well, that's the hardest thing. We're set up, really good that we can stop these, but that's the problem you run into in a short course like this. You got to be able to at least have the truck under control so you can stop it and you know what your truck will do.
Well, get ready. The semifinals, there's a 10-gallon hat on a 5-gallon kit. Semifinals are straight ahead on Powertrax from Tallahassee. And Powertrax continues from the Leon County Civic Center, Tallahassee, Florida. We are down to the final 4. The semifinals, there backing up is Steve Dane, the guy we call the Flying Texan with Awesome Kong, and he's taking on a very smoky David Morris and the Equalizer out of Springfield, Tennessee.
Richard, keep an eye on Morris. This kid is working his way up in the sport. I think that truck will be one of the toughest trucks on the tour. The engine location, the springs and everything, watch for the kid. However, he's got to get past Dane. He's not going to let Dane pull the wool over his eyes. Believe me, Morris is going to do everything he can to win. It's going to start right on the start line. Morris has got to leave, and he does. Richard, look at the jump.
Got him a shot, and here comes Dane. Dane has done it again. Forget all of that blues crying that he has been doing. He has got him a win, and he's going to move into the championship round. Army, I know they are right down there at you. It was an awesome shot by Awesome Kong. Steve Dane has got a real fan following as we go trackside.
Well, Richard, all evening long, Steve Dane's been telling us that the Awesome Kong is not running that well. It doesn't seem to be, it's making horsepower. It's not getting it to the ground, but you're still winning. That was a tremendous run. It seems like when the torque converter tightens up, it does come alive.
Oh, definitely. It's that first hill I'm worried about transmission. It's so hot now, it's up around 300 degrees, and they ain't made to operate that temperature. I'm just living on the edge now and hoping it stays together.
What do you do to cool it down before the final run?
Change the oil. It's the best thing we can do right now is change the oil on it. If I had some ice, I'd run that over it, but right now we're looking at a real hot transmission, and I'm just going to go till she blows. If she goes, then that's why I'll lose.
Well, let's us find out who is going to go up against Steve Dane in the championship. It'll either be Rowdy Rod Litzow, USA 1, the Chevy out of Minnesota, or Gary Wiggins, Mopar Magic, that's a Dodge out of North Carolina.
Well, Wiggins working his way to the top in this. However, the top will be determined after this run. National champion USA 1 Chevrolet working that left lane. Richard, he's been out of that left lane all night long tonight, showing that he likes the way that it works. Winner goes against Awesome Kong for the championship. Side by, the Chevrolet gets a lead.
An easy win for Rod Litzow, USA 1. Army, he is going to take on Awesome Kong in the finals. It ought to be a great one.
Well, Richard, we're going to have our first two-time winner of the year. Awesome Kong is going to be going to the final against USA 1. Rod Litzow coming over now. The people are loving you down here in Florida, son.
Yeah, I can tell. I can hear the crowds yelling. It's good that they're all excited.
Are you aware that Awesome Kong is having some problems with his torque converter on the starting line?
I know that he's been having some problems with that. I don't know, when it gets hot, it starts giving him some problems. I know he's been running good when it hooks up, so it's just going to have to be, I get a whole shot, it's going to be a tough race.
So you know he's going to be coming back like a fast-moving freight when you come across that finish line.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the finals are about to begin. We're about ready to crown the king of crunch car racing. Army, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. Rod Litzow, USA 1 Chevrolet against Steve, the Flying Texan Dane. Awesome Kong, the Chevrolet. I am going to call, I don't know if it's an upset or not. I'm going to go with USA 1. I think he's had a smooth run.
Steve Dane has been smiling too much for me. I'm going to go with that kid from Texas. Litzow's been here before. He told you what he's got to do. He's got to leave on this kid. If he doesn't get in front of the Texan, he knows the Texan's going to come flying past him.
But see, Litzow gets that early jump. That's why I'm taking him for the win.
Richard, I don't know. I'm still going to work with Awesome Kong. The finish line is where it's all about. Let's see what's... Oh, what a run!
Oh, no. Awesome Kong has done it. I look like a fool. You look like a prophet. Steve Dane looks like a champion. There he is, and the crowd is loving it. Awesome Kong with a big win, and he does it by flying through the air.
What a run by this kid out of Texas. These people, they get so involved in these monster truck races. Look at Dane. He's working the crowd to perfection. He's pumped up because he's #1 in Tallahassee.
Well, Rod Litzow did what I thought he was going to do. He got that early jump, but Awesome Kong and Steve Dane powered through at the end. Mid-air took the win and the championship in Tallahassee.
Richard, I tell you what, I hate to have been playing cards with this guy tonight. He was holding a trump card. You had everybody worried out there. You kept crying the blues about the torque converter, but you left the starting line like a rocket that time. The torque converter hooked up perfect.
Yeah, it's capable of doing that. I couldn't do it every run and have something left at the end of the night. So I was kind of milking it over the first few races there, just enough to win whoever I was racing. That bye run helped me out today. I didn't have to work it so hard. And I'm sure it's about as close you can get to burning up a transmission or a torque converter, because I don't usually get them this hot and get away with it.
Who's going to be the truck to beat in 1989?
Any question about it, it's right here, Awesome Kong.
All right, Army, so Steve Dane, who had been crying the blues all night long, obviously had an ace up his sleeve because he became our first two-time winner of 1989. For Army Armstrong, I'm Richard Leake. We'll see you again on the tracks across America.
Join us next time for Powertrax, the most powerful sport on earth. Brought to you by TNT Motorsports, the nation's leader in pulling and monster truck racing.